Hey, welcome to Eat Your Backyard, my YouTube channel, where I talk about all kinds of cool, edible, non-edible, tropical, subtropical things, like the kind of things that would grow well in Florida, California, Arizona, but also in any greenhouse or inside, most of them. Yeah, so it is May 6th, and the yard is starting to come alive with fruit, I'm happy to say. We suffered a fair amount of hurricane damage to the fruit grove last year, which actually had the side effect of clearing out a bit of space. So we're still going through kind of a rebuilding period back here, but let's see how it's going. First of all, look at this. Mulberry City. Look. Oh, man. Yes. I like the black ones. I'm going to eat it. I also like the red ones. You know, really, the optimal thing is a handful with some of the black and the red. The red are really tart. The black are more just sweet. And, so good. But this is an ever-bearing mulberry. Incredibly easy to grow from cuttings. I'm actually going to do a little bit more expanding of this year. It's a deciduous tree. Almost every part is edible of this tree. You can eat the leaves, you can eat the berries. So it's an incredible thing. And it just produces year-round, hence the name, ever-bearing, year-round mulberries. And like I said, the pink ones, you know, I think are actually great. And here's a colossal lemon tree. It had all of its lemons removed during the hurricane last year, so we got like 5 lemons. Usually this is a bumper crop lemon tree, and this year it certainly is. You can see these little perfectly shaped little lemons. They get actually pretty large in this variety. They're called Dr. Seuss fruit by some people. Just tons of lemons. Everywhere you look, there's baby lemons. I particularly like this one because it looks just like a lemon. One thing you do have to kind of be aware of with most lemon trees, and even with grapefruit trees, is that they have some nasty thorns. So if you're not careful or aware of that, it can tear you up. This is one of the few things that I tolerate thorns on, because it gives something back to me that I love. But you know, I always warn my children that be careful, because that will get you. And they are like very woody thorns. Let's see if I can. Bug showering down on me, sorry. Let's see if I can show a thorn here. Here's a nice one. Yeah, that's the gift that keeps on giving, especially down towards the bottom. You see these thorns? You need to kind of get rid of it. So these suckers, what I call suckers down towards the bottom, that's going to be one of my spring tasks, is to get rid of all this stuff. You know, because I really don't want a bush. And I also don't want, they tend to be more thorny down towards the bottom. And I want the energy to be up in the fruit and the leaves that are getting sun to produce the energy for the fruit. Look at them. Oh, just everywhere. Oh man, we're going to make so much lemonade. Anyhow, so I'll trim those out. And you can see this was one that I actually made a really bad decision to plant it so close to the house, but it just kind of grew out and we never decided to kill it. I had to actually purchase 3, and 2 of them died. This one made it, and I think it was because it was not getting hit by the sprinklers. The citrus really tend to not like the salty irrigation. Look, I like this. There's the lemon. There's the mulberries. Fruity forest. This is what we've got going here. Okay, let's see what else is going on. Okay, well, my sugar cane. This is actually I used to have a gigantic patch of sugar cane here, 4 different varieties of sugar cane. I'm down to really just one, this green chewing cane, which is really good. You see it gets that reddish color to it. That means it is ready to harvest. This year I'll probably expand the sugar cane patch a bit, take some cuttings, take some to eat. But chewing cane, sugar cane, really good. There's a little baby Monstera deliciosa plant that is kind of struggling to survive. The reason is it doesn't like the salty irrigation. It probably won't make it. This is an edible cactus. Whoa. What on earth is that? Yikes. I have no idea what that is. Well, anyway, deal with that later. Probably was a bird's nest or something that fell out of the tree. But yeah, I planted some more cactus cuttings last year. Very easy to grow. These are actually, you can crack these off and they taste just like cucumber. They're delicious. And they're pad cactus, thornless pad cactus. My Suriname Cherry. This one has not been a big fruit producer, but it's getting ready to. You see these little flowers that are kind of happening. Those will be cherries. I'll show you what it looks like when they get the cherries here in a minute. It looks like it has some little cherries on it. Okay, so this one we just had a bumper crop of Suriname cherries, but there's still a lot in here. I'll pick a few just so you can kind of see. I produced roughly 10 trillion cherries this year already. Here's what they look like. Beautiful pumpkins, little pumpkins. And they have kind of a unique flavor. I love them. Usually when you... Sorry, I was just eating a cherry. Usually when you introduce somebody to this fruit, they kind of go, oh wow, that's kind of a weird flavor. Like, that doesn't taste like a Bing cherry. And it doesn't, but there's a lot of variability in the seeds for these. So the thing is, if you taste one and you particularly like the flavor, plant it and grow it, and the fruit will generally grow true to seed. And they grow very, very easily. As an example, I'll show you. I essentially have grass made of Suriname cherry trees down here, which is just fine by me, and lots of cherries made it to the ground, several pits all over, more on the way. Since I like this variety, I might go ahead and take some of those out of the grass. Oh, right there, they're the pits. Yeah, it's kind of cool to have it in the yard. Now, this is our Edward, we call it Edward. It's an Edward mango tree. And it's been suffering. It's not a fine specimen, but it's just struggled along. Like, it's got enough energy to just get the sprinklers kind of come to right about here. These leaves hate that salty irrigation, so I've just kind of let it live. And the part that lived is leaning away from irrigation that I've got over here and around the yard. But what I'll do now is, since it's got what I call the tilt on it, it's kind of growing this way, I'll just get a stake and I'll stake it up straight, and it'll do pretty well. My longan tree, dragon eye fruit, is also a champion among fruit trees, and it got whacked. You could see by the hurricane, it's kind of sparse through there, but it's got a lot of leaves, and it's getting ready to do something good this year. Again, the suckers that want to grow in the undercarriage of the tree, we got to get rid of those. But it's at the point now where it's kind of making a nice shade area, which I like, and really joining in the fun here with the Edward mango tree and the Suriname cherry. But the Edward mango tree this year has let's see if I can get it in that clip. Yeah, it's got some little mangoes on it, and this year, for the first year, I would let them set. So if all those set, I'll have 4 mangoes this year from this tree, and that's more than enough. I don't want to tax it really, since it's still kind of young. All right. So let's go back to this area. This is a starfruit tree, and you might notice here it was beaten almost to death by the hurricane. I trimmed it way back kind of brutally so that it wouldn't snap, because I was afraid the whole thing would snap. It's kind of brittle wood, and I'm glad I did that, because actually that was during one hurricane. I think that was during I don't remember the name, but anyway, the point is that I trimmed it way back, and then it started to grow back again, and that's this. And then another hurricane came and just blew all that to death, and now the sprouts are coming back. So I'll trim off those dead ends up there, the dead tips, and let this kind of bush back up. And generally it'll set fruit in summer, late summer, and it will fruit right around December, Christmas time. Starfruit, really cool. Now, if you love fruit trees, you know what these are. Mangoes. You want a perfect mango? I mean, look at how many mangoes. And they're just hanging down. If you want a perfect mango, you cannot beat the Tommy Atkins mango. Every mango will be absolutely perfect. Now, done eating cherries, sorry. This mango is about, the size of my palm. It'll be bigger than the size of my hand when it's done. And we'll kind of weigh this branch down. You can see not all the little mangoes actually set. Some of them kind of die and fall off, but it'll grow nicely. Even up towards the top, there's a lot of mangoes. But although this produces perfect, beautiful mangoes, and a lot of them, it's very resistant to pests. You can see it's done well despite the salt water, so it pretty much checks every box in terms of ease of growing and beautiful fruit. But the fruit is not as good as some mangoes. It's still good, but it's not like, I like them kind of tart, and they're not very tart. They're just pretty sweet, which a lot of people love. It just depends on what you like. But this one also got thrashed by the hurricane, but it took it better than most because it's a very hardy tree. Again, that's the Tommy Atkins mango. Now, right next to it, we've got the beautiful Cavendish banana. And again, schwacked by the hurricane, but also kind of hit by the colder temperatures during the winter. But it's coming back beautifully. Incredibly beautiful banana tree. It has this black variegation in the leaves. You can see, like, to me, the way that water droplets form on it is something that it's just so cool. It's the rubbery kind of quality of it. It's also cool with the little next leaf, the way that looks. But yeah, so we'll get bananas off of that. It does take a couple of years for them to form. And several trees here, and they'll produce fruit pretty soon. Now this, our Barbados Cherry, has not been doing that well in terms of fruit production lately. I think this will be a good summer for it. What I plan on doing is burying a few tilapia around it, some fish waste, and I'm sure that will turbocharge it. I think it just needs some nitrogen, so I'm going to go ahead and just do that. This is my chocolate pudding tree. It was really hit hard. This was a thick tree full of leaves, and it just got whacked by the hurricane. And I didn't trim it back because I just kind of wanted to see what it'll do. I'm kind of glad I didn't because, I think it has a lot of potential. But these farther out branches, I am going to trim them back and just kind of shape it a bit more conical so that it has a better chance. But the leaves on it are just beautiful. And it was a big producer of fruit. This year, not sure how many chocolate pudding fruits I'll get from it just because it doesn't have that many leaves. Now, my Hayden mango really got hit hard. They say the tallest blade of grass is the first to fall or whatever, but that definitely happens in a hurricane. And since this thing stuck up many feet tall, it was whacked pretty hard. But even with that, it's come back with fruit. It's got fruit on it. Let's see if we can find one. There's one. This is my favorite kind of fruit. I don't expect a bumper crop, but I'm happy if I get a couple dozen mangoes off of it. I've got to go up there and I've gotten rid of most of the dead branches in the middle of the tree, but I still have to go in and really clean it up and trim it. I want to make nice, neat trim, nice, neat cuts so that it does this kind of thing and calluses up nicely. You want it to cover up. You don't want that bare wood there for long. I did that here years ago, where this was snapped off by another hurricane, and I sawed off gigantic limb. And since I trimmed it close to the trunk, it's able to grow back completely. You can see where it kind of connected together, but it formed it healed nicely. I'm going to have to do that same kind of thing. When the hurricane was approaching, we had to trim it way back, and the reason is we've got a 220 volt electricity line coming in here, and I had let it grow too close to it, so I had to clear that back. I didn't want that to go all wrong like it could have, and I'm glad I did, but I really had to trim it back. And so this year it's really about a regrowth year. Once I get the fruit off of it, you see there's more fruit up there. Once I get the fruit from it this year, I'm going to finish trimming it back and give it the remainder of the summer to grow, which is good. Back here we continue to have all kinds of different plants that I've grown over the years. We got some deliciosa fruit, we got more mulberries, we got sea grapes, we got bananas. These bananas are beautiful Musa bananas. Look at that banana flower. Isn't that incredible? So cool. Well, I'll show you. Here's what happens when the banana flower turns into fruit. It's a nice big hand of bananas. And that part's actually edible too. You can boil it. It's the flower itself, the remainder of the flower. But those bananas have a ways to go. We'll let them get to the point where they're almost yellow. and then we'll trim it down, chop down that tree, and it'll produce many more sprouts, just like have happened here. But this is my banana grove of Musa bananas. Now, these were actually cuttings I took from the mulberry tree over there years ago, and I planted a bunch of mulberry trees. Sometimes I regret doing that because they've grown really fast, but you don't regret it when you see, you know, beautiful fruit like this. You can see there's no shortage of fruit. It's just loaded with beautiful, big, delicious mulberries. So, you know, time to make some mulberry jam, I guess. All right, and I don't think I'll go back in the forest here because I really have to just deal with it, and I don't want to get bitten by a snake, which there are a couple back there. All right, so this is a brown turkey fig tree. Brown turkey fig. And they are really starting to pop. This tells me, you know, these figs are, you know, rock hard because they're new little figs. But that size fig take about another month to be ripe, month and a half or so. And when they come in, they will just be going gangbusters. One thing I typically like to do is thin out the growth of the tree to give more energy. I'll probably do a little of that, and that'll turbocharge the fruit that's on there. But if you walk around the tree, it's just everywhere you look, there are figs growing. And, you know, it's not an exaggeration to say you could get 500, 700 figs off this tree if you were diligent about picking them. Probably a lot more, really. But cool tree. I just love figs. And they're very fuzzy, very aromatic leaves. Just a beautiful thing. This is kind of interesting. I had some mulberry tree cuttings in here, and we had a little turtle that we kept in there for a little while, but let him go. Just one that was running around the yard. I'd feed him mulberries. But anyway, this is sugar cane that I grew from that clump that I'd shown you, and just jam them in the dirt, and they're growing beautifully. So this year, this is kind of our little vegetable garden area. This year, we're just going to let it have a nice little sugarcane area, and we're going to probably plant some beans, tomatoes around the outside of it. I had planted some of those Suriname Cherry seeds. I'm sure they'll come up as well. Just a matter of time. Okay, so there is the May update for 2018. I took a little bit of a break from making videos because I've been fairly busy, but I'm back in action now, and I appreciate all the folks subscribing. We're up to, I think, 13,000 subscribers now, growing by approximately 400 to 500 subscribers a month. I can't believe it. So thank you so much for all your support and being part of the Eat Your Backyard experience. And I just say, I have a great time making the videos. I hope you like them. Go ahead and leave your comments below. And if you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And thanks for watching.